Rabindranath Tagore, his romance with astronomy. Tagore was a great poet, a dramatist, a mystic, a visionary, an internationalist. But he had his tryst with scientific temper. And one will be surprised to know how he weaved his acquaintances with modern scientific concepts with beautiful poetic verses. He was a sadhak, he was knowledgeable. And today we'll be focusing on Tagore's journey with astronomy and its fruition in the romantic poetry, the way he described his concept and ideas on astronomy. Rabindranath was introduced with astronomy by his scholastic, mystic father, Maharishi Devendranath Tagore. When Tagore was 11 years old, his father took him to a trip to the Himalayas in February 1873. Rabindranath arrives at Dalhousie, stayed there for a few months. It was this journey and subsequent preparation in which Devendranath Tagore taught his youngest son. He looked into that wonderful sky and the entire cosmos blinked. It's a magical experience. It was a new learning which Rabindranath penned down in his very first write-up in Bengali at the age of 13. He wrote on the title Grohogon Jiboner Abashbhumi. Translated, it means planets are the home of all things living. That was published in his family journal, the Tattvabodhini Potrika, in 1874. Tagore was a genius, no doubt about that. He used the astronomical facts to compose verses. Rabindranath expresses the Copernicus's idea in his poem Boshundhara in 1893. In his book of poems titled Sonar Tori, he wrote, Amar Prithibi Tumi Bohu Borosher, Tomar Mrittika Shone, Amare Mishaye Loe Ananta Gagone, অশ্রান্ত চরণে করিয়াছ প্রদক্ষিণ সবিত্র মণ্ডল অসংখ্য রজনী দিন যুগ যুগান্তের ধরি. You, my earth, are many years old, taking me on your lap, aligning with the infinite sky, going round and round your untiring legs around the solar system, innumerable days and night throughout the ages. Well, in Shishir Kumar Majumdar's Rabindranath's Thoughts on Science, volume 44, it had been fantastically catalogued. Tagore also went into the mysteries of infinite universe like an astronomer. His verse Noibedyo in 1901 beautifully contains his ideas. What do you mean by words like body, soul, mind? I don't fathom. But I shall always observe the universe quietly, without words. The current of cosmos is awareness flowing towards you. Noibedyo, poem number 88, translated by Ketoki Kushori Dyson. Rabindranath Tagore, I won't let you go. We also know how Rabindranath Tagore was so close to the great physicist Jagadish Chandra Bose. He stayed at Giridih at Bose's house for many months and then paid a visit to Bodh Gaya in 1904. After winning the Nobel Prize in 1913 for literature, Tagore became an international celebrity, but his interest in astronomy kept on revisiting him again and again. In 1920, Tagore visited Greenwich Observatory in Britain and saw the photographic plate of the solar eclipse. That was an authentication and confirmation about Einstein's general theory of relativity. In mid-1930s, Tagore wrote a book for young students in Bengali, Our Universe, on the insistence of Meghnad Shah, and dedicated the work to one of the greatest physicists of all time, S.N. Bose, who had collaborated with Einstein in theoretical physics, and we all know about the Bose-Einstein condensate as the cardinal principle in different theories of physics. Tagore himself was immensely excited to interact with Einstein. Rabindranath met Einstein for the first time in mid-1926. They met at least 4 times in 1930. First was on 14th of July in Einstein's villa at Kaput near Berlin. Then again on 19th of August at Berlin itself, again in late September at Berlin. Their meeting in mid-December in New York was widely covered. The second meeting at Kaput was reported in the New York Times by Dmitry Maryanov, Einstein's stepson-in-law. He writes, "It was interesting to see them together, Tagore the poet with the head of a thinker, and Einstein the thinker with the head of a poet. It seems to an observer as though two planets were engaged in a chat. What a cosmic connection." It was in the year 1924 when Tagore seems to have burst into his creative universe. In the analogy of verse Purobi in 1925, there are dense and huge use of analogies from the cosmos. This has to do with his global tour and meeting some great, wonderful women, in particular in China and in Argentina. Rabindranath was a lonely man who had undergone unbelievable personal tragedies in life. His wife, Mrinalini Devi, died in 1902. He was barely 40. He lost his daughter Renuka in 1903. 1907, his youngest son, his closest one, his heart's joy, Somirandranath, he died. Bela died in 1918. Only his youngest daughter, Meera, and son Rathindranath survived. Meera's marriage failed. In a letter to Rathindranath dated 18th July 1915, Tagore even wrote about his acute anxiety, depression, and a nervous breakdown. So when he embarked on a tour to China after receiving invitation from Liang Shishao, he sailed there with great message of Asia. In China, the beautiful Miss Lin accompanied Tagore, and she was his interpreter. It was an address to students at Yenching University's Women's College. Tagore mentioned about his cordial reception by the women of China. Tagore composed a beautiful poem for Miss Lin, deploying cosmic imagery. The blue of the sky fell in love with the green of the earth. The breeze between them sighs, alas. Tagore wrote a play Chitra, which was staged in the auditorium of Peking Normal University on Tagore's birthday. The drama was based on the theme of the homely princess's successful attempt to woo a prince. Miss Lin was the heroine of the play. Tagore then sailed for Latin America in September. He fell ill, and doctors advised him to stay in Buenos Aires in Argentina. Victoria Ocampo, who was a blooming literary figure, hosted Tagore. Tagore gave her the name Vijaya and dedicated a book of verse for her, Purobi, in 1925. Victoria Ocampo took great care of Tagore, and even he sold his piece of jewelry to keep Tagore in the villa. She also arranged tickets for Tagore to go back to Europe in January 1925 aboard the Italian ship Giulio Cesare, on which 4 Purobi poems were written. Ocampo gifted an armchair to Tagore with submission that this would remind him of her devotion. This chair is preserved at the Rabindra Bhavan in Shantiniketan. Tagore and Ocampo could meet only once in 1930 in France. Tagore requested her to visit Shantiniketan and to stay for a prolonged period near him. This could never happen. In fact, Ocampo never visited India, though she lived very long even after Tagore's. On 5th of January 1925, Tagore wrote an interesting letter to Ocampo. He writes, "I only wish you could see how greatly Leonard has improved since he got his leisure on the ship. He has suddenly turned into an astronomer, haunting the upper deck, waiting for the chance of meeting some star of the first magnitude belonging to the southern hemisphere. You know, human males as secretaries are inefficient, but as astronomers, they know how to make their opportunities rich and shining. I suppose you know that also for me astronomy has a great attraction, but being a poet, I have my charts of stars in my memory, which I can study even when I am confined in my cabin. In fact, these rings, well, it rings something of Wordsworth, who said, 'For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flush upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude.'" Well, it's a different issue, and we're talking about Rabindranath Tagore, the astronomer. So Rabindranath writes, "I have been advised never to joke with a woman, but I'm afraid that some of the observations in this letter show signs of frivolity. You will excuse me when you know that a man who is not a prophet, and yet who is treated as a prophet, must give vent to his fit of laughter, even at the risk of misunderstanding." Rabindranath Tagore, My Life in My Words, Uma Dasgupta Penguin, 2006, pages 229-230. Tagore, an astronomer of sublime love, sitting on the armchair that became identified with Ocampo, was brooding over, thinking over the depth of love and devotion that the star of the southern hemisphere held for him. Ocampo remained a pole star, shining for Tagore, always in his imagination, unmoving, ceaseless, always there. She was to be ceaseless source of inspiration for the astronomer poet. The 4 famous poems on board of the ship was composed for Ocampo, which was later dedicated to her in the name of Vijaya in 1925. Tagore awaited his star from the southern hemisphere till the end of his life. It was such an obsession that he went on to meet and interact with greatest astronomer and astrophysicists of his time. Ocampo, however, never came. Miss Lin became China's first architect, but never looked to design the China Bhavan at Shantiniketan. When the World War raged, the poet left the world in 1941 to become an everlasting star for romantic poets to come. The star of the East left the world, awaiting upon with the pole star of his imagination. We pay our tribute to this great poet, the saint, the astronomer, and someone closest to our heart.